Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Good morning to some of you and good evening to some of you. And this is an international group. I can see people from Peru, Mexico, Guatemala, everywhere. Vietnam, Japan, Panama. Yes, it's 9 o'clock in Panama. So thank you for joining us again, and let's get started. We have 130 teachers now. Wow. If you cannot get the chat box, maybe it's hiding under, like it's on probably on the bottom of your screen or on the top of your screen. It's sometimes, it's hiding. So if you find your chat box, please change the setting. You should include all the panelists and the attendee. Okay, so everybody can see what you're typing. So please change the setting. And if you have any questions, please leave your questions in Q&A or in the chat box. Okay, I'll go back to the questions at the end of the session. Okay, because during the session, I'm quite busy. I have to go through the slides and I have to show you some flashcards and the books. So I'll be very busy looking at the questions. So I'll try to answer the questions at the end of the session. Okay, so if you have any questions, please leave your questions in the chat box or in the Q&A. Okay, am I going too fast? Yeah, can you hear me okay? Okay, then let's get started. Right, so today's webinar is about phonics. Okay, I know some of you teach phonics, right? I have something, interesting things today to share with you. So we'll have fun today. Okay, are you ready? Okay, let's get started. So, hello, I'm Sue from eFuture. And number 1 is Korean. 안녕하세요, that's hello in Korean. Okay, and number 2, ni hao ma. I don't know if anyone is from China today, but yeah, I studied Chinese. And number 3 is, do you know which language this is? Yeah, Japanese, yes. Ohayo gozaimasu. Yes, Japanese. So I studied Chinese and Japanese. And these days, I try to learn Spanish. So number 4 is Spanish, right? Yes, buenas tardes. And number 5, Arun Suo Sudai. Do you know which language this is? No, this is Cambodian, actually. Yes, Cambodian. Anyone from Cambodia today? No? Yes, number 5 is Cambodian. And number 6, Xin Chao. I think that's Vietnam. Yes, Vietnamese. Okay, so hello everyone. If your language is not here, I'm sorry. If you let me know your country and your language, maybe I can include your language next time. Okay? Okay, so hello everyone. And can you see my photo there? With lots of clock? Yes? Yeah, so we bought these new clocks. This is the office, and this is my office, and we have all these clocks, and we have the world map. Okay? Because webinar time is very confusing, so we need these clocks, right? To check the times. So I just want to show you. Okay, so last year, I had 17 business trips last year. I traveled to many different countries. I went to Mexico, China, Cambodia, and yeah, many places to do teacher training and to meet the teachers and to do some presentations and to have meetings. And, it was very busy last year. But this year, because of this coronavirus, I cannot really travel, right? That's why we do a lot of webinars these days. yeah, we try to support the teachers in this difficult time. And yeah, so we try our best to make these webinars useful for the teachers. When I travel, I meet teachers and I get these questions. Okay, can you look at all these questions? Frequently asked questions. I have 12 questions there. And there are more questions that teachers ask, but these are some of the most frequent ones. Okay, so let's look at the questions. Number 1, when can we start teaching phonics? Number 2, how long should we teach phonics? And many teachers ask me these questions, and I'm sure you have some questions too, right? And number 3, why are there so many phonics books from eFuture? Many teachers ask me, this question. And what are the differences? And how are they different from other phonics series? Okay, other publishers have phonics books, right? How are they different from eFuture Phonics? Number 6, why are some targets missing? Why are some phonics targets missing? And number 7, why do you teach in this order? And why do you teach phonics in a certain order? And how do you teach sight words? And how can you make phonics lessons more fun? Okay, many teachers ask me these questions. Number 10, do you have digital resources? Do you have supplementary materials? And do you provide teacher training? And teachers ask me these questions too. So today, hopefully, I can answer some of these questions, okay? But we are from many different countries, and your teaching environment is different, right? We all have different environment. Some of us teach only 1 English class per week, some 3 classes per week. We are all different, and the students' levels are different. Okay, so you have to be flexible and you have to be adaptive. Okay, you will get some of the answers today, right? And you might not be able to get the answers that you want, right? But you can always ask us. You can leave the questions in the chat box or in the Q&A. I'll try to get back to you. And maybe it's not possible to cover all these topics today, right? We are planning to have more sessions on phonics because teachers are interested in teaching phonics, but some teachers don't really know how to teach phonics, and they have lots of questions. So we are trying to have more phonics sessions. Okay, so yeah, your suggestion would be good. You cannot hear anything? Audio is off? Oh, you can hear, okay. So can you all hear me? Yes? Okay, that's good, that's good. Okay, doing webinars, there's always this worry. I'm worried that something might happen and you might not be able to hear me or see the screen, okay? But you're okay. You can hear me and you can see the screen. Right, okay, so we are all good. Okay, that's good. So let's try to find some answers to these questions. Okay? So topics for today. What is phonics? Why do we teach phonics? eFuture Phonics series. I'll introduce eFuture Phonics series and phonics targets and phonics resources. Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about today. Now I have some questions for you before we start. Okay, so let's do this poll. Okay, can you see these questions? I have 1, 2, 3, 4 questions here. Okay, can you quickly do this poll? Number 1, do you teach phonics? Okay, that's the question, yes or no. Okay, you can just click yes or click no. Okay, so can you see the poll? Yes? Okay, so can you please click? Okay, number 1 is, do you teach phonics? Number 2, do you like teaching phonics? Yes or no? Number 3, do you use eFuture Phonics books? Yes or no? Number 4, do you have any questions about phonics? If yes, please write your questions. Okay, so that I can get back to you with the answers, or maybe with more webinars, right? So I'll give you like 1 or 2 minutes to complete this survey. Okay, so do you teach phonics? Yes or no? Do you like teaching phonics? Yes or no? Somebody said so. And number 3, do you use eFuture phonics books? And number 4, do you have any questions about phonics? If yes, please write your questions. Okay, so I'll give you 1 more minute to complete the poll. Oh, number 4 is, something's wrong with number 4? Okay, if that's the case, just type the questions in the chat box. Okay, type the questions in the chat box. Yeah, something's wrong with number 4 question. So, yeah, if you cannot write the answers for number 4, just write in the chat box. Yeah, if you cannot write the questions, just write the questions in the chat box, right here, or in the Q&A. Okay, Q&A or chat box. Just answer the questions from number 1 to number 3. Okay, now let's look at the result. Okay, I'll finish the poll and share the result. So number 1, do you teach phonics? Yes, 77%. Number 2, do you like teaching phonics? 84% said yes. Wow, that's a good sign. So you like teaching, well, most of you like teaching phonics. Number 3, do you use eFuture phonics books? 33% use eFuture books and 69% don't use eFuture books. Okay, so that's good. And for number 4, if you cannot type the questions, just type the questions in the chat box. Okay, and then I'll try to get back to those questions later. Okay, so that's good. Now, let's go back to my slide. Okay? So, what is phonics? What is phonics? Number 1, can we read it together? Let's read this together. Okay, are you ready? Let's read it together. What is phonics? Number 1, read. Recognizing the relationship between letters and sounds. Okay, number 2, blending the sounds to make meaningful words. Okay, so that's phonics. So phonics is all about the relationship between letters and sounds. Okay, and also phonics is about blending the sounds to make meaningful words. Right, so A, it's A, alphabet A, but sound A, as in apple. And B, sound B, that's right, as in book. C, K sound, as in cat. Okay, so that's we are looking at the relationship between letters and sounds, right? And number 2, blending. So we blend the vowel consonant and then consonant, vowel, consonant. Right. Oh, you cannot hear my voice? Can you hear my voice, everyone? Yes? Okay, I check your audio setting. I think everybody can hear me, so please check your setting if you cannot hear my voice. Okay, so phonics is the foundation, right? It's the foundation, and it's an early literacy skill. and it's an important skill for EFL learners. Okay? So I told you that I learn Spanish these days. Well, this is from my book. This is Unit 1 of my Spanish book. Okay? And can you see the alphabet there? Right? So it's A, right? But pronunciation is A, as in amigo. And E is, the sound is E, right? Educación. How's my pronunciation? Is it okay? It's not easy, right? But Unit 1 was about the letters and the sound because it's the foundation, right? So Unit 1, they go through the vowels and double letter vowels and consonants and double letter consonants, okay? That was the sequence in my Spanish book, right? Yeah, it's Spanish is interesting, but it's not easy. I think it's, yeah, the grammar is, yeah. Anyway, yeah. Let's move on to the big 5 of reading. So 5 critical skills a child needs to become a confident reader. What's number 1? Phonemic awareness. And number 2, phonics. Right? So, oh, excellent pronunciation. Thank you. Okay, so number 1 and 2, that's about phonics. Right? So it's the foundation for reading. Number 3, vocabulary. Number 4, comprehension. And number 5 is fluency. Okay? So phonics is the foundation, and it's a skill that you can teach your students, right? So that they can be a confident reader. So why do we teach phonics? Phonics helps students to read and write without depending on memorization or guessing. Number 2, phonics helps students to develop strategies for sounding out unfamiliar words. Number 3, phonics helps students to become confident and independent readers. Okay? That's why we teach phonics. Can you see this boy here? What's the boy doing? He's fishing, right? So I think teaching phonics is like giving the fishing rod and fishing net to a child, right? It's a tool that they can use, right? Of course, they can catch fish using their hands, right? But it's kind of difficult, right? We want to help our students to catch fish. So we give a fishing rod and we give a fishing net to our students. Okay, so phonics is a little bit similar, I think. So we give the tools, we give the skills for students, right? So that they can use their skills and improve their reading. So what's this big word? Can you see this big word? What's the word? No, not fishing for hippopotamus, no. No. When your students see this big word, how they feel. Okay, imagine your student, like 6-year-old, 7-year-old, when they see this big word, how they feel. Yeah, they try to read the word, but they cannot actually read the word. Yeah, maybe nervous, maybe, I don't know, they worried, or maybe they just don't want to read, right? Okay, so here, let's look at this student. When they see a word, an unknown word, okay, they've never met this word before, it's unknown, they don't know this word, but if they have the phonics skills, they'll try to use their phonics skills, right? They'll look at the word and they will go like this. Hip, pa, pa, te, mas. Because they have this skill, right? And then they try to read. Hip, pa, pa, te, mas. Hippopotamus. hippopotamus, right? With the phonics skills, when you meet unknown words, you can use your skills, right? You can use your strategies to deal with the unknown words. But without phonics skills, it's quite difficult, right? Maybe they'll just skip the word. Maybe they don't want to read. Maybe they read it, but they just have to guess. Okay, so yeah, it's a big word, right? But with phonics skills, you can at least try something. That's the whole point about teaching phonics. Okay? Right. If you want to know more about phonics, you can just search phonics on Google, and you will find all these research findings and articles on phonics, right? You can find some articles about the benefits of teaching phonics and the importance of teaching phonics. And you can also find articles on, some people believe you don't need to teach phonics. Okay, some people are against teaching phonics. So you can find all these different ideas about phonics. But these days, more and more people find that phonics is a useful skill. Right? It's good for our children, especially for EFL learners. Okay, and I found this interesting article. Can you look at this one, the one on the right? What does scientifically based research tell us about phonics instruction? Okay, let's look at number 1. Systematic and explicit phonics instruction is more effective than non-systematic or no phonics instruction. Okay, if you want to see more, I put a link there so you can read the article later on. And this article goes on and on. So let's just look at this. It's very small, so I'll just read, okay? And later you can go to that link and read the whole thing. So number 2, phonics significantly improves kindergarten and first grade children's word recognition and spelling. This is for the ESL student, okay, not for EFL. And phonics significantly improves children's reading comprehension. And number 4, phonics is effective for children from various social and economic levels. Number 5, phonics is particularly beneficial for children who are having difficulty learning to read and who are at risk for developing future reading problems. Number 6, phonics is most effective when introduced early. Number 7, phonics is not an entire reading program for beginning readers. Okay, so you can see the benefits of teaching phonics, right? But look at number 7. Phonics is not the entire program. Okay, phonics alone is not enough. There are limitations on phonics. Okay, so when you teach phonics, you should also encourage your students to read. So because phonics is about sound and the words, okay, it's good for children to read the story so they can understand the meaning. They can focus on the meaning if they read the story. So there are limitations on phonics, but there are many benefits as well, especially for EFL learners. So let's look at these phonics books. So these are eFuture phonics books. Some of you might have seen this before, and some of you might have used this before. Yes? Yes? Okay, yeah, some of you have used our phonics books. That's good. So we have 5 different phonics series: Smart Phonics, EFL Phonics, Little Phonics, Speed Phonics, and School Phonics, right? And in our kindergarten course book, Little Hands, phonics is included. So this one, Little Hands Phonics, that's the phonics component included in the course book. And this is for kindergarten. So anyway, we have all these different phonics books. Okay, and I'm going to explain the differences later on. So eFuture Phonics series is, Smart Phonics and EFL Phonics, they've been around for about 20 years. Okay, we developed this phonics series 20 years ago. And people still use this. And they are best sellers. We sold like millions of copies. Why? Because it's very systematic. Right? Systematic phonics is very important. And it's fun and easy. And it's proven. Millions of teachers have used it and they like it. They see the result. They see the improvement. So yeah, it's perfect for EFL. And teachers don't have to prepare much. They just follow the book. Okay, you just follow the book because the book is designed like that. Right? You don't need to prepare extra things. Right? Everything is included in the book. So it's easy to teach and it's fun and easy for students. And I'll tell you more about that later on. So I briefly mentioned EFL learners and ESL learners, right? So let's compare this. This is very important to understand the difference between EFL and ESL. And I know some of you already know the difference. So what's EFL? English as a foreign language, EFL, English as a foreign language. And we learn English as a foreign language. In Korea, we learn English as a foreign language. And in Peru, you learn English as a foreign language because your dominant language is Spanish, right? Spanish is everywhere. And you only speak English in the classroom, right? The exposure is very limited, right? Same in China, Japan, Mexico, right? We all learn English as a foreign language, right? ESL is different. ESL is if a Korean student goes to the USA to learn English, then that's ESL because English is everywhere. You are exposed to English 24 hours a day, right? So that's ESL environment, which is quite different. Right? So if you use phonics books from the phonics books written for ESL students, that will be too difficult for your students. Okay, if you look at this student, EFL student at the starting point, right? ESL students, she's already far ahead, right? ESL students have more time, they have more exposure and more opportunities to listen to English, to speak English, and their vocabulary is much bigger. Right? So if you want to choose a phonics book, you have to be very careful. Right? Choose the phonics book that is written for EFL environment. Right? If you choose the book or the program that is developed for ESL, then that will be too difficult. Too many targets and too many words. Right? It's just too difficult. So please remember that. And yes, you can adapt the material. Yes, completely. Yes, that's true. Yeah, if you use ESL material, you need to adapt it. You need to make it easy for your students to match the level, right? Which is extra work for you. Yes. So let's look at the phonics targets. So remember I said we have 5 different phonics books, right? So if you look at the targets, okay, all these 5 books teach the same targets, but the components are different. If you look at Smart Phonics and EFL Phonics, right, there are 5 books. Can you see book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, and book 5? And these are the targets for each level. Okay, so 5 books for Smart Phonics and EFL Phonics. Okay, Speed Phonics, 3 books. Okay, book 1, book 2, book 3. We combined book 1 and book 2 to make Speed Phonics book 1. Okay, and if you look at book 4, we divide book 4 into 2 parts. And the first half is we combine the first half with book 3. So Speed Phonics Book 2 is the combination of long vowels and double letter consonants. Okay, and Book 3 is the combination of Book 4 and Book 5, the second half of Book 4 and Book 5. Okay, do you understand this? You can see how we combine and split the books, right? And School Phonics, there are 4 books. Yes, there are 4 books in School Phonics. Okay, as you can see, Book 1, Book 2 is the same, but Book 3 and Book 4, right? If you compare Book 3 with Book 3 and 4 in Smart Phonics and EFL Phonics, right? We combine Book 3 and Book 4 to make Book 3 School Phonics, right? Book 4 is the same as Book 5, right? And if you look at Little Phonics, there are 4 books, right? Book 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you compare the level with Smart Phonics or EFL Phonics, the level only goes up to Book 1 and Book 2, right? Even though there are 4 books, the level is only up to level 2. Why? Because Little Phonics is for young children. It's for kindergarten. So we split Book 1 into 2 parts to make it easy. Okay? And we split Book 2 into 2 books, Book 3 and Book 4. Right? So it's easier and the progress is slower because it's for kindergarten children. Right? Right. Okay, so you can see the difference here, right? So although the targets are the same, right? We have different components. Some 5 books, some 4 books, some 3 books. So why did we do this? Why did we combine and then split? Why? Because this is to give teachers more options, right? Your teaching, as I said before, your teaching environment is different, right? Some of you teach only 1 English class per week, some 5 classes per week. Okay, so you can choose the ones that matches with your situation. Okay, sometimes you need more books, sometimes you need less books, right? But you want to teach all the phonics targets. That's why we made this different series. Okay, I hope you understand, right? Okay, that's good. And also, if you look at, I'll show you Smart Phonics. Okay, so here we have, can you see the books? So this is the student book, and this is the workbook, and this is teacher's manual, right? So for some of our series, we have student book and workbook separate. If you look at EFL Phonics, workbook is included in student book, right? So if you look at the back of your student book, yeah, student book and workbook, it's included. Workbook is included in the student book. Okay, so you can also consider, right, whether you are going to do a lot of work in the workbook, then it's better to choose the book with a separate workbook. If you have less class time, right, you might want to choose the workbook which is included in the student book. Okay, so we have a lot of options for you, right? And the book price are also different. So you can look at your budget, you can look at your teaching hours, and then choose. Okay, so this is to give you more options. Right, but you are teaching the same targets. You can achieve the same goal, whichever series you choose. Right, so can you look at eFuture guideline? So this is just a guideline. And as I said before, you have to be, flexible, right? This is just a guideline. And you have your main course book series, right? You have your main course. And if you want to use it together with a phonics course, right? So you can use it together. And this is the guideline for the levels. So let's look at this. Can you look at the grade on the left? Okay, see the grade from K to 6? Okay, so we have the grade here. And if you look at the right-hand side, can you see Smart English on the right? Right, Smart English and Hand in Hand. So those two are our primary course book series, from starter to book 6. Okay, I know some of you are using Smart English for hand in hand, right? Yes. And Little Hands, that's our kindergarten course book. So if you look at their levels, right, it's for K level there, nursery 1 to 3. Okay, so nursery 1 to 3, and then primary level starts. Starter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's our course book series, right? And if you look at the phonics section on the left, okay, can you see the phonics? We have 5 different phonics series, right? So you can start your phonics from kindergarten, right, if you have the kindergarten classes in your school. If you don't have the kindergarten classes, you can start from grade 1. Okay, so these are the matching levels. You can use it together with your course book. If you have any questions about the levels, right, you can ask us, or you can talk to our partners, our local partners. Then they can make suggestions for you. Okay, so if you could tell us, you are using hand in hand and you want to use a phonics book together with your course book, right? You can let us know. Then we can do the level matching for you. Okay, we can even choose the series which is most suitable for your situation. Okay? Okay, that's good. So if you have any questions about the levels, right, please ask us the questions. Maybe I can get back to you later. Okay, I hope this guideline is useful for you. And teaching phonics, maybe you can teach it for 2 or 3 years. I think the best is 2 years or 3 years for EFL students. And you can start from kindergarten, okay, or grade 1. So that's the best age for EFL students. Okay, if you do more than 3 years, I think that's too much, right? So 2 or 3 years, you can start from 5 or 6 years of age. Okay, so let's move on. Now, this is the system. I want to show you eFuture system, which is, well, we think that it's the best system for EFL students. Okay, so this is the sequence. This is the order that we teach phonics. Okay, so this is, the first one is level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. Okay, book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, book 5. So why do we do this in this sequence? Because it's logical and it's easy for students to follow. Okay, of course you have to learn all the single letters, right? So that's the basic. So you do all the single letters and then you do vowels, right? So these two are the basic, right? And then you can combine. If you have the consonant and the vowels, you can start combining those two, right? And you have to learn short vowels before you do long vowels. So that's why we put this in this order. So you do single letter consonants and then short vowels and then long vowels. And after that, you do 2-letter consonants. And after that, 2-letter vowels. Okay? If you use books from ESL environment, sometimes they jump around, right? They do this and then they move, they change the sequence. So it's very difficult for EFL learners. So it's good to follow this sequence, right? This is the easiest. Okay? Don't jump around, right? Just follow because it's logical and it's the easiest. And if you look at the targets, okay, can you see the targets there? We focus on the targets that are basic and regular. So all these words are very regular, right? When you learn phonics, you focus on the regular ones and try to focus on the basic vocabulary, right? And we try to do the more useful ones first and more frequent ones, right? You should teach the most frequently used sound or words first, because then it's more efficient, right? So when you teach phonics, focus on the targets that are regular, basic, frequently used, and most useful for EFS students, because then it's the most efficient, right? There are so many irregular words in English, right? You just cannot teach all the irregular ones. So focus on the regular ones and focus on the most frequently used ones. Okay, I hope you understand. Right? Are you following me? Yes? It's not too difficult, is it? Okay, that's good. That's good. And we'll play some games later on. Okay? So here, now let's look at level 1, the book 1. Right? This is the single letter sounds. So we'll look at all the single letter sounds. We learn all the single letter sounds in book 1. Okay? So in book 1, learn 26 letters of the English alphabet, sounds, letters, and words. Okay, so those 3 things should go together. Okay? Sounds, letters, and the words. Right, so let's look at some flashcards. I have some flashcards here. Okay, now here, what can you see? This is my favorite game when I teach phonics. And here, what is it? Can you see? Do you want to see more? Yeah, then you have to say more, please. Can you say more, please? Yes, question mark. Yeah, more, please. Yes, okay. Now, what is it? Can you see? What is it? Do you want to see more? Then say more, please. Yeah, apple. Right, you can see an apple. It's an apple. Very good. It's an apple, right? Now, look at this. Okay, let's try again. Yes, it's an apple, right? So let's look at this. Now, here, what can you see? More, please? Do you want to see more? Say more, please. More, please. Yes, what is it? What is it? It's an A. That's right. It's a letter A, right? And what's this? Yeah, big A and small a, right? We have big A and small a. A. Very good, right? What sound? Right, it's A, but what sound? What sound? A, right? A, apple. A, apple. Right? This is how you teach the single letter sound, right? A, apple. Okay, so you can go through the flashcards and do book, book, cat. Okay, so this is the very basic step of phonics, right? You introduce the single letter sounds, right? And when you finish all the single letter sounds, you can move on to level 2, right? And level 2 is probably the most important part of phonics, right? When you teach phonics, book 2 is the most important because you start to blend the sound, okay? You learn the short vowels and then you blend the sound. See the important stamp there? It's very important. This stage is very, very important, right? So here, can you look at the picture? A, apple, to, tiger, right? And then you will combine these two, a, to, and then it becomes at. So here I have the cards here, right? At, apple. To, tiger, right? At, to. So let's combine these two, right? Can you all say it together? At, to. At, to. Okay, we'll go faster. At, to, at, to, at, to. Together, at. Okay, so this is how you combine the vowel and the consonant. Then what do? You can add another one here, right? Ku, at. Ku, at. And let's go faster. Ku, at, cat. Okay, so this is level 2, book 2, right? Very important stage of blending. Okay, so can you look at these letters, right? A, to, at. This shows how we blend the sounds together, right? And you can see that it's very systematic, right? So let's talk about blending more, okay? Now, before we do that, let's look at these cards. So, at, right? We already know ku, at, cat. Now we can change, right? Bu, at, bat. And we can do hu, at, hat. Mu, at, mat. R, at, rat. F, at, fat. K, at, tat. Okay, so you can, this is the e-future way of blending, right? Can you look at this one on the left, right? At becomes at, right? At is like one sound. You just combine the sound. So ku at, hu at, mu at, bu at. But if you look at this one on the right, right? Ku at, hu at, mu at, bu at, right? Some phonics programs do it this way, right? They do blending this way. But if you compare this with e-future way, which is easier? Dealing with 2 or 3 individual sounds, which is easier? E-future way is much easier, right? Can you see that? Ku at, hu at, ku at, hu at, right? So do it in a simpler, easier, and faster way, right? Can you look at this whole word blending? Some phonics programs do this, right? They approach like whole word approach. So if it's cat, what they do is they look at the whole word and then they try to produce the sound. Cat. And then go faster. Cat, cat. But this is not really easy for EFL learners because for ESL learners, they have a lot of exposure. They listen to a lot of English sound. So it's easier for them. But for EFL learners, dealing with the whole word can be quite difficult. Okay, so that's why we do it this way, right? Ku at, cat. Okay, can you see the difference? Okay, that's good. Now let's move on. This is book 3, right? Level 3. So here we do long vowels. Okay, for long vowels, a, k. And if you put it together, it becomes ek, ek. But when you add e, the sound changes, right? It becomes ache. And so k, ache, cake. Okay, k, ache, cake. So this is level 3. Now here again, it's very systematic, right? You can just follow this. Ache. So ache. Ku ache, cake. Bu ache, bake. Lu ache, lake. R ache, rake. Right? Some programs, some phonics programs call this magic E, right? Have you heard of magic E? Yes, but we don't really call it magic E. So, but anyway, yeah, some people call it magic E, right? And some people call it final E or silent E or strong E, right? It has many different names. But the proper name is split digraph. Split digraph. Split means, you split, you separate two letters. So if you look at bake, B-A-K-E, right? There's a split. A-E is split by K, right? Understand? Split two letters. So A-E is together. A is together, but it's separated by K. Okay? So that's, if you follow magic E approach, this is the activities that you can do. Tap, tape, cap, tape. By adding E, the sound changes. Hope, hope. Kit, kite. Bit, bite. Hat, hate. Right? This is okay, but it can be confusing because students will have to read tap first and then add E and then change the sound to tape. Right? You are going through many different stages, right? Tap, add E, sound changes to tape. But if you follow E-future approach, right, we treat ache as one thing. A-E is together, just separated by K, but it's one thing that go together. Ache. So we just change the consonant, right? U ache, bake. K ache, cake. R ache, rake. L ache, lake. Okay, and then you can change the consonant. Right? You can add more consonant. T ache, take. F ache, fake. M ache, make. S ache, sake. And then you can add more consonants and then make nonsense words. So which way is easier? For me, E-future way is easier. I think it's simpler, it's easier, and it's faster. Right? It's more effective and more efficient. Right? I'm not saying that magic E approach is bad, right? It's good. But you can do it another way, right? It's not like there's only one way that you have to follow. There are many different ways, right? When you learn English, when you learn a language, there are many different approaches and there are many different ways, right? And as I said before, our situation is all different. And you are the expert in teaching your students. You know what works, you know what doesn't work, okay? So it's up to you to make that decision. And you can also use, both methods. Why not? You can mix, you can adapt, you can revise, right? So you have to be creative, right? And find out the things that work for your students, right? There are many exceptions and irregular ones in English. Can you look at these three words? Care, fair, dare, right? It doesn't follow this magic E rule. Some come love, they don't follow this rule. So when the exceptions come up, you don't have to teach all these exceptions. You don't have to teach all the irregular ones, right? Just teach these ones naturally in the context. So when you read the story, if these words come up, then just teach naturally in the story. You don't have to point that out, right? So, yeah, just make it natural. I think that's the best way, rather than focusing on exceptions or irregular ones, right? Focus on the regular ones, right? And the most frequently used ones. And, yeah, just follow the natural process. I think that's the best way. And after that, you move on to book 4. Okay, book 4 is consonant blending, right? Consonant blending is relatively easy because you already know all the single letter sounds. You know all the consonant individually. So you just have to combine, right? So k, k, and you already know r, so you put them together and it becomes kr, right? So kr, crab, kr, crack, kr, crane, and kr, creek. And after this, you move on to the final stage of phonics, which is book 5. Here, you do vowels, right? 2-letter vowels. So E, E, you put them together. And the sound, E. So B, E, B. Okay, so this is the last stage of phonics. Okay, and you have to distinguish same sounds, but you have to distinguish E and E, right? E, B, and E, C. So it's the same sound, but different spelling. Okay, so we went through all the stages of phonics, right? 5 levels. Okay, but I said before that reading story is very important. Phonics alone is not enough, right? So that's why we provide stories. We provide stories in each unit. So there is a unit story, and also there's a review story, and we also have phonics readers. Okay, so I'll introduce that later on. So when you look at the stories, you can see the phonics targets there, right? So this is level 1 story. And let's read the story together, right? So look at the book. The book is in the alligator. So book, alligator, that's the phonics target, right? This is level 1. So book, and alligator. So these are the phonics words. And if you look at the sight words, right? Sight words, at, in, is, look, the. So these are the sight words. And let's look at level 2. Okay, this is a level 2 story. Let's read the story. The man has a hat. The cat sees the hat. Okay, so what are the phonics words? Man, hat, right? Those are the key words, the phonics words, target words. And we also have sight words. A, has, sees, the. So what are the sight words? Many teachers ask me, what are the sight words? Sight means something that you see, right? Something that you see, that's sight. So sight words are the words that you see very often in the story. Okay? A collection of words that a child should learn to recognize without sounding out the letters. Common, frequently used words and foundational words, right? So combining sight words with phonics instruction increases speed and fluency in reading. So these are the sight words. And you see them, right? These are not phonics words. These are not regular words, but you need them to read the story. And you will see these words very often in the story, right? But you don't really take these words out of the story and then teach individual word, right? You don't do that. You just teach this naturally in the story. Okay, that's how you should deal with sight words. Okay, now here's a quiz. What's the most frequently used English word? What's the most frequently used English word? The. Yes, very good. The is the most frequently used English word, right? So you will see the everywhere. When you read a book, you can find many the. Can you see this sight words list? Right, number 26 is the. And you can see it on page 11, 17, 23, 29, 41, 47. These are the page numbers, right? So you can see the many times. So these are the sight words. You see them everywhere, okay? And there are some sight words list, right? So if you are interested in finding out more about sight words, you can go to this link and do more search, right? But please don't take out this list. Give it to the students and ask them to memorize. Please don't do that, right? I've seen some teachers doing that, and it's not the right way. How can they memorize all these words, right? Just look at them in the story and learn naturally in the story. That's the best way. Okay? So now let's move on to the important points, right? So focus on the phonics skills, not on the spelling of words. and use nonsense words. Nonsense words are the words like if you do k at cat, then they should be able to do g at get. It's not a real word, but they should use their phonics skills to read the nonsense words. And do lots of practice using fun activities. Don't worry too much about sight words, and read lots of phonics stories, right? And just follow the lessons in eFuture Phonics because we already included all these things in the book, right? So you just have to follow the book. And we also have phonics activity videos on YouTube, right? Have you ever visited eFuture YouTube channel? Anyone? No? If you go to eFuture YouTube, you can find the videos for webinars, model lessons, activities, and product introduction videos. So there are lots of videos that you can watch. Okay? So I hope these videos are useful. Right? We made the videos. That's Gary and me. Yeah. Anyway, so go and check out these videos. And we also have online resources and mobile app. Okay, we have ebooks on eSmart Class. That's our online platform. So you can use ebooks, and we also have free mobile app. You can just download mobile app, and children can look at the flashcards. They can listen to the story, and they can do simple games. Okay, this is a good review. And if you are teaching online because of this coronavirus and lockdown, if you have to teach online, you can use ebooks, right? So you can use the ebook and share your screen with your students. And your students at home can look at the ebook on their screen, and they can also use their physical book to do the work. Okay? And we have teacher's manual, and in the teacher's manual, we have many activity ideas and teaching tips. And we also have phonics readers, right? If you want to do more reading, then you can use phonics readers. And these readers we have matching levels with our phonics books, right? So you can choose the level, and then you can do more reading. So let's go back to these questions. Remember these questions? I hope you found some answers to these questions, right? We've covered most of the things, right? And if you have more questions, please leave the questions in the chat box or Q&A. I'll try to get back to that. Okay, and we have more webinars. We have one tomorrow. Okay, and Gary will be doing a webinar on smart phonics. Okay, and we have another one next week. It's about graded readers. Okay, so please keep an eye on those more webinars. Okay. And thank you very much, teachers and our partners. Thank you. Keep in touch with eFuture and enjoy your phonics class. I had one quiz actually. What is it? Shall we do this one and then finish? If you have to go, you can go. But if you have time, you can stay on. Okay. So what is it? This is my last quiz. What is it? Can you see? Do you want to see more? What is it? More, please. What is it? It's a hippopotamus. Remember that big word? Now you can read the word, right? And this is the contact details of our local partners. So look at your country, and there are email address, right? So if you want to contact our partners in your country, please check out their email address. And if your country is not listed here, please send us a message, then we can talk to you about it. And keep in touch with eFuture. We have eFuture Facebook, YouTube, Weibo, and WeChat. Okay, so please keep in touch. And thank you again for joining us today, and I'll see you again. Okay, thank you very much. I'll try to check, I'll stay for another 5 minutes to check the messages and the questions. Okay. I hope it was useful. And okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll check the questions later, and then maybe we can organize another phonics webinar if you are interested in more phonics games. I have a lot of phonics activities and games, so maybe I can share that with you, and maybe I can go into more details about each series. Okay, so yeah, if you have any suggestions for the webinars, please send us a message. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Questions? I think I've answered most of the questions. No, we don't really introduce IPA. Somebody asked me about IPA, but no, we don't introduce IPA. We use lots of games and activities and chant and songs, right? Rather than going through IPA chart. And yes, some sounds are more difficult because of your native language. Yes, totally. Yeah, understand. Yes. Yeah, I think I've answered most of the questions. Yes, you can teach your course book, right? You can teach your main course book session, and then maybe you can spend, I don't know, if you only have one English class per week, so you don't have time for phonics, maybe you can have 10 minutes of phonics lesson. You can do that. If your class is for 50 minutes, maybe you can use your main course book for 40 minutes and 10 minutes of phonics. I mean, that's fine, right? You can do it that way. Wow, lots of messages. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And good night to some of you, and good morning. Okay, it's lunchtime in Korea, so I'll go and eat my lunch now. Okay, I'll finish this webinar, and I'll see you again. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Bye.